Today I'm going to talk about a particular theorem called the duality principle. So duality principle is in the mathematics or in computer science. It is about how to view an optimization problem from two perspectives: the primal problem and the dual problem. And all it is about is the maximization and minimization in two different spaces, the primal space and also the dual space. Simply put, if you are maximizing something in the primal space, you are actually minimizing it in the dual space. If you are maximizing something in the dual space, you are minimizing that thing in the primal space. And something what I talk about, something can be many things, can be like n items subject to m constraints, and but in total, this sort of duality principle kind of works and is universal and can be very useful in determining the sort of maximization problem, optimization problem, finding the optimal solution to some problem. And this duality principle is not just a principle, but it's a technique to solve a problem. However, I when I think about this duality principle a little bit more, I believe that it can be sort of extended to our daily experience or in life in general. So as a human being, we want to maximize many things in the on our planet Earth. Why we want to maximize instead of minimize is that we are programmed to do that. And for any animals, I believe we are inherently selfish and we want more and more and more. And that's no problem with me, and that is just what it is. So what the duality principle implies is that we are maximizing n items in the primal space. And in that sense, the dual of us or our reflection sort of in the dual space when we are maximizing this n items or when we are maximizing something right now, um, he or she is minimizing it in the dual space, and they can the two self can be working concurrently in parallel, or can be maybe sequentially as a lot of things imply maybe. But let's say there is a concurrent and yourself in parallel working in the dual space where it is, we don't know. But according to the duality principle, there is one, and you can't deny that. Anyway, what we can see is the primal space. We're living in a primal space on Earth, and we want to maximize it. And uh, according to subject to constraints, of course. For example, if we don't have a car, then we may be a little bit less efficient to maximize something compared to other people. But let's say we are very powerful, we can live freely on Earth, then we want to get like infinite amount of money, infinite amount of fame, infinite amount of repetition. We want to be a most powerful person on Earth, and something like that. And that there's no denying on that. And uh, if you uh, if you say that you don't want that, then you are lying. However, um, let's say you are the most successful person on earth. Let's say you are a professor. Let's say you are a billionaire. Let's say you are uh, 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 whatever, like a president. Then in the dual space, you may be someone, maybe homeless, someone who is irrelevant and successful, maybe sick and very weak. And according to duality theory, that's not my prediction, but that's just what the duality principle says. Um, so on the other extreme, if you are like homeless and lost everything, or have nothing, or suffer uh, suffer a lot, you are in great pain, then on in the heaven you may be kind of a very happy and successful person. And heaven related to what the duality theory says, the dual space. I kind of um, I, I kind of talk in another term, but that may be something that I will talk about later on. But let's say in the dual space, you may be a very successful person. And when also thing is that when we are wanting to maximize something, I'm saying that that thing is kind of valuable and positive, sort of like happiness, fame, and fortune. We want to maximize that. But on Earth, we all, if that thing is kind of a liability, like kind of a negative, like pain, kind of a suffering, then we are actually want to minimize the thing. We want to minimize suffering on Earth in the primal space. So that's no problem, because maximizing a positive thing means minimizing a negative thing. And in the primal space, um, but what the duality principle says is that when you are maximizing a positive thing in the primal space, you are minimizing that positive thing in the dual space. So that is a little technical detail that you want to pay attention to. But when we want to when we say that we want more, uh, we want less suffering, we want less pain, we want more happiness. So that is no contradiction in what I'm saying, that we always wanting to maximizing something, because minimizing a negative value means maximizing a positive value. So, and we are like suffering in great pain, like let's say from a lot of conflicts, a lot of uh, threats, like if we got stolen, if we got backstabbed from somebody else who stole everything from us, we're in great pain. And we also lost a lot of things. We are become jobless, irrelevant. We become uh, kind of just I can't describe it, but you are kind of having nothing. You are like having nothing, but in great pain. So some states like that. But uh, according to relative principles, that means you are having many things, a lot of things in the dual space, while at the same time you don't have any suffering, but you have great happiness there. So they are in a huge contrast between the primal space and dual space. So that is the reality. I'm not. I should not say reality here, but that is the duality, sort of the principles between the two spaces. So when we look at some religion, let's say the Bible, um, there are some sentences or some verses that we we don't really understand what's going on. But if you look through these sentences in through the lens of the duality principles, things can make sense suddenly. So let's look at Matthew. Um, let's look at let's say what I want to look at. Um, Something that can demonstrate this duality principle is I remember that some in some Matthew chapter 18, if I'm correct, it says that whoever takes the lowly position of a child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. So this sentence basically says, chapter 18, uh, maybe 18 verse 5. Yeah. Sorry, Matthew 18:3. Whoever takes the lowly position. Oh, sorry. Let me search for that. Um, yeah, 18, Matthew 18:4 in um, NIV Bible. Therefore, whoever takes the lowly position of this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. So this sentence is just one sentence, but it already has separates um, a child in the primal space and the dual space, sort of. Whoever takes the lowly position, lowly means you have very low reputation, low value, uh, maybe you maybe no suffering, but still a lowly position. You have very little thing of this child. A child like a baby, you can't run, you can't swim, you can't drive. Then basically you are very weak, a weak human being with a lowly position, irrelevant maybe, um, is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Oh, so it's the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. So kingdom of heaven is sounds like something in the dual space, right? So if some a child is low in the primal space, is he or she is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. He or she is great. Okay, so that is like a contrast. If someone is low here, they are great in the kingdom of heaven, right? Of course, this verse can imply different things, like a child is innocent because and they are pure, and so that's why they're greatest in heaven. But a pure person is actually someone that I want to say they don't really want to maximize too much thing by doing evil stuff to other people, by stealing things from other people. They still want to maximize um, their desires on earth, but they are maximizing them these desires doing the right way. They are not, they are, because they are pure like a child. They don't have any evil schemes like backstabbing and plotting, stealing, basically stealing things from others, which is where the backstabbing things is very effective. But since they are pure, they are, well, they are maybe still successful, but they are doing it the right way. So they don't have, they do everything right, and in that sense, um, they may not be maximizing things that they originally can maximize it. Like let's say they have the ability to be a billionaire, to be a professor, if they do evil things. But since they are not doing that, they sort of take a lower position than they can be. uh so like a lowly position of this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. I would say this sentence, whether according to everything that talks about in the Bible previously, or every principles that is mentioned in Matthew, according to the duality theory, this sentence holds true. This sentence makes sense according to the duality principle. So let's look at another something about sufferings in the Bible. Um, so as I said before, suffering is something negative. Uh, we want to, in the primal space, we want to minimize suffering. We don't really want to take suffering unless it's necessary, right? We let's say in the winter, we don't want to just go out naked and wearing no clothes to to get ourselves like a coat and in great pain. We always want to get warm and be comfortable because we are selfish, because we want to maximize our health and our feelings. So we would avoid suffering if it's avoidable. But let's say the suffering is unavoidable, and because of external conditions, if we just human conflicts, we have to suffer. So what can we do? Um, we can't do anything. Uh, However, this sort of suffering is kind of already happened. Uh, so in the primal space, we have a lot of suffering. We have a lot of negatives. We have a lot of negative access, negative experiences. But what that automatically implies by the duality principle is in the primal space, we are actually very happy. We are actually we enjoy every moment in the dual space. We have a lot of troubles in the primal space, but since we suffer in silence, which is very important, we suffer in silence. Um we don't complain. We don't do anything. We suffer in silence like a lamb. Then we have that experience in the primal space. We have that negative experience, which is kind of variable if you think about it, by the duality theory. Of course, we don't want that, but that is something injected into us. Um, that may be kind of variable if you think about it, because that automatically implies that in the dual space you are a very happy man or woman. However, a lot of people, if they don't want to suffer, they do a lot of evil schemes and to avoid that suffering, because they don't want to. We don't want to do suffering, and by doing evils, we may kind of escape that suffering. Like in lots of movies, we can avoid death, sort of. But it's not to that extreme. But in in a lot of things, we can avoid suffering, like or to transfers the suffering to other people. Like we don't want to suffer, we let someone else suffer. All right. But that's not right according to a lot of moral principles, a lot to the Bible. We that just breaks the what we want to do. That's just immoral, evil, according to Matthew chapter 5, let's say. So even if we can avoid that by some scheme in the primal space, we always be successful. We are enjoyable every day. Like everything is great to us, right? That's fine as long as you don't do wrong to achieve that or to maintain that. But if something troubling um, that happened to you and inflict great pain to you, don't be really discouraged, because in the primal space, you are a loser with great pain, a loser with great pain. But in the dual space, you are or will be a winner with great happiness. Okay, so that concludes my um, recording. Thank you very much. Bye.